declared Jedrek. I've raced under the Singapore flag, stood on the podium in male-dominated races, and been up close and personal with the biggest names in motorsports. I even married a fellow race car driver. It's fair to say that I love driving, and I live and breathe fast cars. Whoa! But these days, I have 2 kids, and I've downshifted gears to a more domestic pace. Being a mom has also made me think more about the world we're leaving behind for future generations. And so I'm with the government on having a green plan for our country, including changing from petrol cars to electric cars. But for petrol heads like me, what will the shift be like? Will I still enjoy driving like I do today? In February 2021, the Singapore government unveiled the Singapore Green Plan 2030. This is a whole-of-nation commitment to strengthen Singapore's sustainable development. Some of the plans include increasing public transport usage and expanding our cycling network to encourage walking, cycling, and active mobility. The Green Plan is something that I can totally get behind, but the bit that interested me the most was the target to phase out internal combustion engines, ICE, by 2040. And even before that, by 2030, all new car and taxi registrations will be of cleaner energy models, and there will be 60,000 charging points nationwide, up from the current 2,000. And by 2025, all HDB car parks at 8 towns will have EV chargers. There will also be no more registrations of diesel cars and taxis. Mark, why is there a need to switch to EVs?
Driving an EV emits a lot less carbon dioxide, noise, and heat. This leads to a more pleasant and livable urban environment. In Singapore, switching to an EV will actually reduce our personal transport carbon footprint by about half. What this means is if the whole light vehicle population transited to electricity, it would reduce Singapore's CO2 emissions by 4%, which is substantial. So we do have a long-term target to transform the entire vehicle population to 100% cleaner vehicles by 2040.
Why 2040 to phase out the ICE vehicles? Why isn't it earlier?
We need time to allow the EV technology to mature and for a full range of models to be made available. This is particularly true for segments like the light goods vehicles and MPVs, where there are currently few options. At the same time, we also want to allow businesses and drivers to adjust, because a lot of them have made investments into internal combustion engine vehicles. And drivers will also need time to get used to the various new forms of charging to power up their vehicles.
And it looks like adjustment time is necessary. According to a survey conducted by BMW Group Asia, more than half of Singaporean drivers are not ready to go electric. But 75% of drivers do know what EVs are and how they work. So, how exactly does an electric vehicle work? To find answers, I met up with Dr. Sanjay Kutan from the Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore. So Dr. Kutan, can you tell me the difference, in a nutshell, between ICE vehicles and EVs?
In an ICE, they burn fuel. It enters an engine which has pistons. The internal combustion engine, the emissions has sulfur oxide, nitric oxides, particulate matter, which is harmful to the health of the community. To be fair to the engine, they have been developing over the years, and so they're very efficient way of burning petrol. In the case of the electric vehicle, they're actually running on electrons, and those electrons power motors that run the wheels of the car. There's zero tailpipe emission, and that's a very important consideration when you look at electric vehicles. Car makers have already declared they're not going to make the ICE version anymore. So it's only going to be electric going forward, so it is inevitable.
Now, in a survey conducted by BMW this year, 54% of drivers said they're not ready to switch to EVs. What are some of the greatest consumer concerns when it comes to EVs?
Well, the first thing is really around this term called range anxiety, which means you're so afraid that you might run out of electrons before you can get to the next charging station. The second concern is really about price, right? Like everything. How much am I paying for? What's my returns? A car is expensive in Singapore, so you're making a very important decision when you want to invest in a vehicle. You would want to have a better justification than just saving the planet.
Now, I completely understand and I share those concerns, but are they warranted?
Buying a car is a big investment. It's like a house in some cases. So I think people need to make those decisions, especially when you're not driven by the ideal of being a green consumer. So you're going to take those cost factors into consideration and make a decision. But it will happen, so you will need to make a decision sooner than later because the government has drawn a line in the sand already.
Yes, I know the line has been drawn. I have those exact concerns and more about electric cars. I'm definitely keen to find out what plans and answers they have. But I'm kind of used to driving a petrol car, so I'm not quite sure how I feel about driving an electric one. Will electric cars mean a boring, dull, and nerdy automotive future? My husband and I have driven so many fast and powerful cars in the course of our work. We are fans of such cars, and even our kids have grown up around them. Charlie, what's your favorite car? Porsche? Ollie, what's your favorite car? 911 Porsche. By the time you guys grow up, there's not going to be any more petrol cars. Are you okay with driving an electric car? Yeah? You like electric cars? So, what options will gearheads like me have in the greener future if we're looking to drive a powerful, sexy car? Teslas come to mind. But are there other options? Oh, it's a Tesla!
Electric car.
Turns out there are. This is the recently launched Audi RS e-tron GT. Doesn't this beauty look like a car from the future? My favorite detail is its matrix LED headlamps. And then there's the Porsche Taycan S. It's the familiar, sleek Porsche design. And it has, hands down, the sexiest charging port door. Very Star Trek. And if you're into off-road SUVs, there's always the Jaguar I-Pace. Still a good looker. And here, the air suspension system can raise the car if you're venturing off-road and lower it for easy access. So you can stay glam, hopping on and off, even in a ridiculously long dress. Looking at these beauties, I'm just itching to get behind the wheel to check out their performance. Will they drive like they look, all powerful and sleek? Or will I be disappointed by their e-power? I must find out. Coming up, will my range anxiety be addressed? And the electrification of our public transport vehicles. The Singapore Green Plan has definite targets for private cars. But a large part of our population doesn't own cars and have no intention to. According to the 2020 statistics from the Land Transport Authority, public transport ridership hit a record of 7.6 million trips a day. It's a 2% rise in its 15th consecutive year of growth. How will the switch to EVs affect public transport? And what impact will it have on our environment? I'm on my way to one of the most sustainably designed places in Singapore, Gardens by the Bay. I'm there to meet the head of the Sustainable Urban Mobility Group at the Singapore University of Technology and Design, Dr. Lynette Chia. What is the impact of public transport on the country's carbon emissions?
In Singapore, the transport sector is responsible for about 15% of the nation's carbon emissions, of which a bulk of it is from private transport. Buses make up a very small fraction of the total vehicle population, less than 5%, but they travel a lot more kilometers per vehicle, so they're disproportionately responsible for more emissions.
Now, how does the switch to EVs benefit commuters?
I think from society's perspective, we're going to have cleaner air, we're going to have quieter streets, so that's beneficial. They are more energy efficient compared to internal combustion engine vehicles. They also offer us this pathway away from fossil fuels. So switching to electric vehicles, we can consider more renewable energy options to charge our vehicles instead.
Well, all those benefits are on their way. The switch to electric buses has already started, spearheaded by the Land Transport Authority. Moving forward, the LTA will only purchase cleaner energy buses, and by 2040, all 5,800 of the country's buses will run on cleaner energy. I must confess, I haven't taken a bus in a while, but 2.9 million Singaporeans take one daily. And this is what a greener bus looks like. This Linker LM312 has a 178 kilowatt battery and can pump out 2,100 Newton meters of torque. And it can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in... Well, all that doesn't really matter, I guess, because the point is, it's better for the environment. I spoke to Gopre's son from LTA about their plans for greening their buses.
We have deployed 60 electric buses from 3 different suppliers involving different charging solutions. So this is to enable us to actually better understand the operational and technical aspect of deploying electric buses in our climate and traffic conditions. So of the 60 buses, 40 electric buses are using plug-in charger. So the buses are actually charged overnight at the bus depots. So the remaining 20 buses, like the one that we are in now, they are using pantograph charging.
Pantograph charging for buses is not exactly new, but it's the first time Singapore is using this technology.
So the buses using pantograph charger are actually charged using high power, and then they are charged within a short period of time between 10 minutes to 15 minutes when the buses lay over, and then they are off for their next trip. We have actually received quite positive feedback. For example, commuters actually like the quiet rides. The bus captains also enjoyed the smoother drive as well as the faster pickup offered by the electric buses.
And is there a roadmap for converting the rest of the fleet to electric? Is there a timeline?
We are actually on track to transition to cleaner energy buses by 2040. So all our bus purchases going forward will be cleaner energy buses. All our bus infrastructure, such as the bus depots as well as the bus infrastructure, will also be designed to support cleaner energy buses.
Besides buses, public transport commuters also use taxis and private hire cars. The proportion increased from 1.3% to 3% over the last decade. Ride-hailing companies like Grab have committed to operating a full fleet of cleaner energy vehicles by 2030. Meanwhile, taxi companies like Strides Taxi, a subsidiary of SMRT, are also stepping up their EV game. They just announced the ambitious target to switch their entire fleet to electric within the next 5 years. And they are launching the first batch of 300 electric taxis by the end of 2021.
The electrification of the entire Strides taxi fleet is part of its plan, right, to support the Singapore Green Plan, right, to achieve the long-term aspiration, right, of achieving a net zero emission as soon as viable. So of course the government has also supported through incentives and assistance, and it has made the system financially more viable than before.
And what were some of the considerations when picking out a brand and a model for the taxi?
So members of the Strikes Taxi Operator Association, which represents the drivers, tested the MG5 and found that the MG5 vehicle model suits their operating needs in terms of the driving range, the passenger and boot space, and the quiet and comfortable ambience that the MG5 provides. At the same time, we also work with the National Taxi Association on aspects like rental affordability and also the charger availability and convenience.
These cabs are certainly green, environmentally speaking. And very green, literally. Okay, let's go. Why did you like Driving me in the new electric taxi is Simon Yam. He's been a taxi driver for 8 years and has recently switched from an ICE model. So do you find any difference between the diesel and the EV cars?
The difference is that if you go to a petrol kiosk pump, you waste 10 minutes. But then you keep on driving.
Yes.
But for EVs, we stop to charge. I find time for a break. So it takes at least about 30 to 1 hour, depending on the fast charge, yeah.
Do you like driving the EV compared to a diesel?
Definitely. I love driving EV. Yeah, it's smooth transmission, it's comfort to drive.
When it comes to customers, what kind of feedback do they have? Do they notice when they get into the car?
Definitely. They say, wow, it's green. And they find a lot spacious, comfortable. One thing they say is the ambient noise is very quiet. You know, they can listen to the phone and all this. Yeah.
A quiet ride indeed in the MG e-taxi to the MG showroom. I'm here to find out for myself how different the EV driving experience is. I'll be driving both the electric MG ZS and the almost identical petrol-powered MG HS for a day. And we'll be putting both cars to the typical soccer mum test, chauffeuring my kids to playdates and more.
Fantastic.
I've never seen this.
You've never seen this before?
Look, what's that?
What's that?
What's that for?
It's a really cool camera. Okay, we ready? Today I'm driving the MG HS, which is powered by a 1.5-litre turbocharged petrol engine.
It's got lots of modern features like an infotainment screen, semi-autonomous safety features like blind spot detection, but
This is not a car review, so I won't get too much into the details and get too distracted.
the driving experience so far is good. The 1.5-litre engine is fuel efficient. It will do around 14 kilometers per litre of petrol. But because it's turbocharged, it can do a brisk 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 9.9 seconds.
That's good enough for city driving and a couple of overtakes on the highway. Okay, guys. Alrighty, kiddies, let's go. Okay, jump out. Let's go, Charlie. Come. Come, let's go, Charlie. See you guys later. Bye. Did you have fun, Ollie?
Yeah.
Wow.
And what? How they change the car?
We're going to drive somewhere fun.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. And now I'm driving the MG ZS Electric, and it's more or less the same entertainment and safety features.
It's got less power than the petrol HS, but because of its electric motor, all of its torque is instantly available. Let me show you what I mean.
Whoa! Did you feel that? Wow! That power up was great.
Yes, a blast.
Oh, that was a blast?
Yeah.
I bet it was. The other thing I really have to get used to is how much quieter it is because there's no combustion engine. But this means you can actually hear a lot more of the bumps on the road. Shh. Did you hear that? Well, I also feel like I need to be extra careful around pedestrians, and that's just because it is so dead quiet. And I'm a bit worried that people probably just won't hear me.
But when it comes to the riding experience, sometimes we just have to ask the harshest critics around.
Right, guys? Which is your favorite car? No, that one. Oh, high five. It's my favorite too. No, that one. Oh, she likes that one, but we like the blue one. Blue. High five. Yeah.
But as much as I enjoyed driving the electric ZS, I was constantly worrying about running out of battery juice. I knew for sure that, on paper, with a range of 335 kilometers, I'd be okay for the entire day. But I just couldn't help checking the battery meter regularly and making sure that I planned my route according to where there are available charging stations.
And as I've just experienced, range anxiety is real. Now, I've spoken to Dr. Kutan, and he said one of the biggest concerns with drivers of whether to go electric or not is range anxiety.
55% of drivers think there are not enough charging stations, and 1 in 3 see long charging times as a deterrent to switching to EVs. 70% do not know EVs can be fully charged in an hour or less. There are currently 2,000 charging stations in Singapore run by various operators. The government has plans to build 60,000 charging points by 2030. 60,000. That is super ambitious. And SB Group is going to be a major player in shouldering the task.
It's good to be ambitious as it encourages current drivers to switch to EV faster, particularly when the availability of convenient chargers is a key concern for them when considering to buy an EV. As of end of September, we have built more than 430 charging points in 100 convenient locations such as shopping malls and industrial parks like this. And 30% of our charging points are DC fast chargers, which can charge a car in less than 40 minutes.
And what are some of the challenges when expanding the charging infrastructure at such a fast rate?
To install a charger, we need to first determine the available power in the premise, to determine how many chargers and what kind of chargers can we install in the premise. So moving forward, we are also working with developers to plan the amount of power required to supply EV charging in their premises.
Now, I know there are plans for the public car parks, and that is great for HDB residents, but those with landed property can also put the chargers inside their homes or properties. But what about the residents of condominiums?
So LTA has recently announced the EV Common Charger Grant, in short for ECCG, where the government will co-fund up to half of the charger installation cost in non-landed residential properties such as condominiums. So for SP, we are working with each condo management to develop charging solutions that will be hassle-free for them and, more importantly, convenient and cost-effective for their residents.
Now, I know there's an increase in EV registrations. What are some of the plans to deter drivers from hogging the charging stations? I mean, what if these drivers are actually parked beyond their charging durations?
So currently, our app would send a notification to the driver when his charging session is completed to remind him to move his vehicle within 30 minutes. And in the future, when the level of EV adoption increases to a very, very high rate, we also look at solutions such as hogging charges or options such as reservations to manage such behavior. You just scan the QR code.
Oh, okay, that's super simple.
Yep. And then you can just start charging.
Oh, that's it?
Yep, that's all.
Oh, okay, that's pretty simple. Okay.
Well, it looks like our concerns over keeping our EVs juiced up are being addressed.
I guess when it comes to range anxiety, once we become familiar with EVs and charging infrastructures, that'll be history too. Besides charging issues and range anxiety, the next big concern that drivers have of EVs is the cost. How much more does it cost to own and buy an EV? And which is more expensive? I don't know, pumping fuel
or charging a battery. So an average driver in Singapore travels 55 kilometers per day. Using an average petrol rate, that would cost about $9.50 for a car like the petrol HS. Whereas on the electric ZS, it would cost about $4.40. That works out to over $1,800 of savings a year.
That does make EVs look really attractive, but there are other cost issues like buying and maintaining one. I'll be looking at that next.
But remember, I wanted to check out those electric-powered beauties to see how they might perform. Well, it looks like I might have just found a way.
This is Singapore's longest karting circuit. 18 times 120 minutes straight. For karting, that's a lot of fun.
It's not exactly the racetrack for super-powered cars, though.
Well, James here, the track manager, thinks that technically it's possible.
It can be done, trust me.
I guess I'll need to test it first. After the break, will buying an EV break the bank? And the companies that are turning their vehicles green. Besides private cars and public transport vehicles, commercial vehicles are also starting to join the electric race. The government has introduced schemes to incentivize local companies to electrify their logistic vehicles. When I was talking to Dr. Lynette Chia, she told me about the significant carbon impact of commercial vehicles.
Commercial vehicles make up a smaller percentage of total vehicle population, but also emit proportionately larger amount of emissions because they travel a lot more.
And what obstacles do companies face when electrifying their fleet?
I think they have to check whether it fulfills the range that they need, and also they have to take into account the operations, whether or not there's enough time for charging these vehicles. I think companies are also very cost sensitive, so they need to think about making this switch and maybe a little bit risk averse as well. Many of our fleet owners in Singapore tend to be small fleet owners, so they own 5 or less vehicles. So again, very careful about making this investment towards a new powertrain.
And what can be done to encourage companies to switch over to EVs?
I think incentives always help. And for companies also, I think it helps for them to be able to see some demonstrations or some demo fleets that have successfully pulled this off. So maybe larger companies can take the lead and consider electrifying sooner.
And taking that lead in Singapore is National Postman SingPost. Their current fleet of diesel vans and petrol bikes will be replaced with the fully electric BYD T3 and fully electric Iona Wrap.
What is SingPost's target for electrifying the fleet?
So SingPost intends to replace all its internal combustion vehicles for the postal and speed post courier service delivery fleet. And we intend to do this progressively as COEs expires over the years, and we target to complete the electrification by 2026. And by doing so, SingPost will be the first postal service provider in the Asia-Pacific region to fully commit to 100% electrical vehicle fleet.
And why is SingPost taking the lead when it comes to making the change to EVs?
SingPost lives by its purpose of making every delivery count for people and planet. So we are very committed towards environmental sustainability to better serve the needs of future generations. And with COVID-19, we have seen a global surge in e-commerce logistics volume. And with that, we will obviously have to evolve our business to actually cater to the surge and seek to do more with less.
And is range going to be an issue with the EVs for your delivery vehicles?
We don't think so. Because for a fully charged electric vehicle, they have a driving range of about 100 to 120 kilometers. And at the moment, our postal delivery team are clocking about 15 to 20 kilometers a day And as we have more electric vehicles coming on, we will increase the number of charging stations, and we will be scheduling the electric vehicle charging schedule accordingly.
But the electrification of commercial vehicles is not just limited to delivery vans and scooters. Even waste trucks are getting in on the action.
I can't really say that I know much about these waste trucks before today, but even I think it's really cool that these vehicles here, the ones we don't really think much about, are going electric too. Why did Sembcorp decide to invest in electric waste trucks?
Lowering carbon emission has always been part of our company commitment toward environmental sustainability. Waste is gradually in transition to change from diesel truck to electric truck for refuse and recyclable collection. We have already deployed 20% of our electric truck to support in waste collection in Clementi, Bukit Merah, and City Punggol sector.
Semwaste's new charging hub is solar-powered and is able to charge up to 18 industrial EVs within 2 hours and will be open to other industrial vehicles by 2022.
The depot is equipped with smart energy management system to manage each electric power consumption digitally, enabling efficient use of energy. With this EV charging hub and our active fleet of electric vehicles, we are able to perform essential services for our nation using clean energy.
As you can tell, unlike the usual diesel waste trucks that wake the entire neighborhood up with its noise, these are a lot quieter.
And they don't spew out all these diesel fumes, which can be quite unpleasant when clearing out the trash.
I guess when it comes to switching to EVs, the line in the sand is very real. Public transport and commercial vehicles, even waste trucks, have started the process of going electric. For sure, our private cars will have to follow suit sooner rather than later, and efforts are underway to make it a smoother switch. Earlier, I found out that car owners' concerns about charging and range were being addressed. Another concern is that EVs cost more to buy and own than ICE cars.
Hi, nice to meet
I find out what the answer to that concern is.
It's a good question. When we look at the cost of an electric vehicle, we always look into the capital cost, what the customer pay up front. The government incentives in Singapore in particular helps to bring down the overall cost. Apart from the government incentives, post-purchase support, which includes things like 10-year warranty and also maintenance costs, is something that motivate or give a better motivation for our customers to really go for electric vehicles.
And in the long run, how do EV cars compete with ICE cars price-wise?
We are unable to put a date as to when EV will reach price parity with ICE cars, but there are already very encouraging signs. From a manufacturer's perspective, the cost of EVs will reduce over time as battery performance improves, including the range. The charging infrastructure develops, and of course, electric motors become more efficient as well.
Well, it's good to know that going electric doesn't mean spending that much more. And now I'm going to persuade some potential customers to see if they'll go electric.
As Kit mentioned, current government incentives help keep the upfront cost of EVs down. To encourage drivers to go green in their next car purchase, the vehicle's emissions scheme has been enhanced with an additional $5,000 rebate. This helps lower the buying price of EVs, like the Mini Electric, which now costs less than its petrol cousin. From 2022, the new road tax brackets of EVs will lead to a reduction of up to 34% in road tax for more powerful electric cars.
It's been half a day and I haven't sold any electric cars.
Well, at least you managed to bring some fun into the ownership of electric vehicle.
You know what, that is true, but I'm going to keep my day job. And though I'm a terrible salesperson, can I keep this shirt?
Sure.
Thank you.
Previously, I found a go-kart track where I could possibly test those performance cars. But before I put those cars to the test here, I'm going to just try it out with a car I'm very familiar with. You know, just in case.
and because I just want the excuse to race.
Yay! Feel that! Oh, the engine sound is phenomenal. Okay, so now I'm in the GT3 RS by Porsche. And yes, this looks like a race car, but it's still a road car, let's not forget that. Now, good old petrol cars, I do love them. You can really feel everything when you're driving, when you got to upshift, downshift. This is exhilarating. Makes me wonder though, is the EV's going to be exciting as this car? Because I'm not going to lie, this car is pretty damn exciting.
Still to come, I learned to maintain an EV. And finally, I also get to test our sports EVs.
Yeehaw!
We already found out that the selling price of EVs is very competitive with government incentives and all. But another cost concern related to EVs is that of maintenance. 53% of drivers in Singapore think electric cars cost more to maintain. Well, I'm here to learn more about car maintenance, and we'll start with the petrol car first.
Okay, firstly, tell me what needs to be serviced on this petrol car.
Okay, so first and foremost, normally for us to get the service done, we'll check on all the fluids level, make sure it's enough.
Alrighty. What's next?
We have to replace the oil filter.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is how an alternator looks like.
Okay.
It's not in a very good state, that's where you can hear a lot of screeching noise from the engine coil.
Yep.
If selling cars was not for me, servicing them is even more out of my league.
Okay, so this is the under chassis of the car.
I was losing track of what's what on this ICE car.
Actually, the drain plug of the engine oil.
That was more work than expected.
Okay, we're at an electric car. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, so this is actually the engine bay, but we don't see any engine here because it's the electric versions of the car. Yeah, so for the maintenance, basically what we are looking at is just to check on the coolant level.
Looks pretty good.
Secondly, what we can see right at the back is that's actually the brake fluid of the braking system of the car.
So I guess this is important.
Yes, so basically it's exactly the same as the ICE cars has it as well.
Okay. And anything else we need to check?
That's pretty much about it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's crazy. There's nothing much to see then.
Yeah.
And there was even less to see under the car.
So this is how the EV undercarriage looks like. So you can see here, yeah, all the battery cells are fitted underneath the undercarriage. Yeah, so this is how one cell of lithium ion looks like. So in there, there's hundreds of them sitting in.
Okay, well, it's definitely a lot cleaner. There's not a lot going on here.
It's definitely a different setup comparatively to engine cars.
Oh, and I've also noticed, don't need to change oil.
No, there's none of them here. There's no engine, there's no transmission, there's no belt, there's no nothing. So basically, it's just a motor and the battery.
Wow.
I had heard EVs were simpler to maintain, but I didn't think it was this much easier.
So basically what you can see here, these are the components made by the petrol cars. So there's alternators, there's pulleys, there's starter motor, there's spark plugs. So there's so many things to check on the petrol car when it comes for servicing. Whereas for electric cars, basically what we are looking at is more on the cooling system of the battery, which is the coolant, and also the brake fluids, and that's it. So looking at the ratio based on the items to look at between petrol and electric cars is so much different though. So pretty much when we talk about the whole structure of the cost involved, it's easier to maintain an EV cars because it has lesser running parts.
So EVs cost less to maintain simply because there is less to maintain. Still, Singapore is infamous for being the most expensive country in the world to buy and own a car. That's because car owners here need a Certificate of Entitlement, or COE, which ranges from $50,000 to $80,000 depending on the vehicle.
But with a 10-year expiry on each COE, how will EVs fare in the resale market?
So Singapore is a very unique market due to the COE system. As we go into EV, it's an entirely new segment or a new market that we are unfamiliar, and there's not much benchmarking in the market to decide on the resale value. So right now, I think majority of the authorized distributors are giving it out at about 8 years warranty. So I believe as a first-time owner or maybe a second owner of the EV, that would not be a problem. But as you advance as a third or fourth owner, if the EV battery is faulty and the cost of replacing that will cost you about maybe 15 to 20,000, that will add on top of your initial depreciation, and that would be something that people would want to consider.
So Singapore is halting all ICE registrations from 2030. How do you think this is going to affect all car resale values for both EVs and ICEs?
I think in the near future, from 2030 onwards, there will be a conversion point where the resale value of an EV will supersede the resale value of an ICE vehicle. Because ICE will not have much resale value due to the fact that you can only be certain that there's only a lifespan of 10 years left on the vehicles itself.
So while doing this show, I've learned quite a bit about EVs. Greener? Check. Driving experience? Good. Fuel and maintenance savings? Quite a lot. The additional VES rebate has helped to lower the buying price of EVs. And when it comes to things like resale value and range anxiety, we're getting there.
Like I said before, I've been sport driving fast and powerful cars. But will I get the same thrill out of driving EVs? Well, I guess I'll just have to find out.
Go, Mama!
First, the Jaguar I-Pace.
Whoa! It feels ridiculous. It's so quiet. It's so smooth.
The Jaguar I-Pace has a lot of racing pedigree.
Whoa! Now, don't be fooled as well by its SUV stature, because this car is no slouch. Woo! It is so fast. It just has this crazy pickup. I mean, for a regular everyday SUV, you should never be late to a meeting again.
Next, the Audi RS e-tron GT.
Whoa! Chewing up the tarmac in this Audi RS e-tron GT. Because it's 2.3 tons, a whopping weight for a car. The traction and the grip on this car, reminiscent of a go-kart. That's just my kind of fun. Whoa. It's absolutely delightful to drive. Let's see the braking on this. Woo! The tires are getting sticky. Woo! I love this. It has been a while since I've had so much fun.
And finally, the Porsche Taycan S.
Oh my lord, this is ridiculously fast. That's 750 brake horsepower, 1050 Newton meter torque, and I can feel it. I don't even need to accelerate much. They do have a low center of gravity because of those battery packs, which should mean it's well balanced. Yee-haw! I went hard and I braked fast there. Ay, somebody has snatched my soul right out of this. I've left it behind at the start-finish line.
Wow, I'll tell you what, the thrill of driving these, they're amazing. It reminds me of all the days when I used to go racing.
That did look like a lot of fun. I think it's my turn to go for a lap, but this time, I'm gonna go take that petrol 911 over there.
Oh, now?
See you later.
Now? Oh, okay, well, there you go. Three, two, one, go!
If you told me before we did this show that I'd be an EV enthusiast, I'd tell you to take a hike or a bus.
Now, I can see the benefits for the planet, for me and my family. So, to all you EV doubters out there, I'd say jump on the electric bandwagon.